Hello and welcome. My name is Maeve. Over the next few minutes, we'll be talking about what Ireland's public libraries have been doing during the COVID-19 pandemic. So first of all public library buildings closed their doors on the evening of the 12th of March. Now, even when library buildings had closed their doors, libraries were of course busy providing services to their users. We're going to talk about the huge explosion in use of the e-library, as well as many events migrating online and online activities taking place. We'll touch briefly on some phone services that were also offered, as well as the delivery of physical library items. So the online library services were well established before the beginning of the pandemic, with a fantastic offering of over 35,000 ebooks, over 26,000 e-audiobooks through BorrowBox, and also the latest editions of over 350 e-magazines through Orbi Digital, over 550 e-learning courses with Universal Class, 114 language courses for speakers of 32 different languages through Transparent Languages, and more than 2,400 newspapers from over 100 countries worldwide, as well as nearly 4,000 magazines offered through PressReader. So there was a lot available for people online, and there was a big push then at the beginning of the pandemic to let people know that these services were available, and also to get people access to these online library services. So one of the first things that happened was that joining obligations were adjusted so that you no longer had to visit your library in person to use the library online. You could join up purely online and start to access these resources. Also, we felt it was important to let people know, to remind people that there are no fines in the Irish library system and haven't been since the start of 2019. And the libraries were lucky to benefit from a substantial investment in e-content, including this initial boost of €200,000 from the Department of Rural and Community Development, who are the library's parent authority or parent department. So this push had a massive impact. We saw new library memberships during the COVID-19 crisis exploded. As you can see here, over 30,000 new library members joined in March of this year, compared to just over 17,000 in March of last year. In the week commencing the 29th of March, we saw this huge increase year on year in new ebook and e-audiobook users, 313% increase. Also a 467% increase in e-learning courses being taken, 227% increase in language courses being taken online, and a 246% increase in the use of online newspapers and magazines. These service usage statistics between the first day of library closures on the 13th of March and May the 2nd, 2020 also show a lot of use of the library online during that time. So Libraries Ireland worked with the suppliers of the e-services to provide video tutorials and illustrated step-by-step user guides online. And this was important to reduce any barrier to access that might be there for people. And also we collaborated with Age Friendly Ireland to pilot a peer-to-peer training program for older people. So a little bit more on that training pilot. So the COVID-19 pandemic, as you know, accelerated the use of technology by older people, but it also identified gaps in areas where older people might not have been able to access the wide range of services that had to move online. So this pilot was a collaboration with Age Friendly Ireland, and it was a training program to promote the uptake of online library resources. So it involved training sessions, group training sessions on Zoom to empower older people to facilitate one-to-one training sessions, showing other older people then how to access the online library services. Another barrier to online access is being addressed through the Airband Wi-Fi pilot, and this is a pilot collaboration with the goal of offering reliable Wi-Fi services to targeted families and individuals within a 5 to 10 kilometre radius of the library using the existing network. The steering group for this pilot includes representatives from the Department of Rural and Community Development, the local government management agency, and Microsoft, and is now meeting weekly. The focus for the pilot will be on County Carlow first, and then will be broadened to include an additional 4 authorities. And Carlow Local Development Company, the LDC, is to provide some devices to the target users also. So, in addition to the push of e-resources mentioned earlier, there was also a big drive for other events and activities to still go ahead and to move online. Early on, an agreement was reached with Irish publishers to temporarily waive license fees for the reading of certain books and posting or streaming of videos online. So this allowed library staff all over the country to present online story times in English, Irish, and other European languages. And the story times were hosted on now hugely popular video galleries on the Libraries Ireland website. And the annual national reading programme, Spring into Storytime and Summer Stars, also moved online for the most part. The annual Children's Book Festival also took place mostly online this year, and libraries have also been sharing content provided by the Irish publishers of authors reading their own work. Many libraries moved existing program elements also to online platforms. We saw book clubs, writing workshops, coding and STEAM events, Healthy Ireland talks, photography courses hosted on YouTube, online drawing lessons, a virtual Easter egg hunt, and crafting activities too. Sligo celebrated Poetry Day with special guests reading a favourite piece of poetry on Facebook. We saw online yoga and parenting support groups, mindfulness sessions, keep fit advice, yoga and chair gym classes on Zoom, and also poetry competitions, online art competitions, online quizzes, and even a collaboration with the local newspaper for an online picture challenge. So a huge amount going on online. Additional supports were also provided for those with dyslexia or dyspraxia and additional learning needs. This included online talks by specialists and an increased rollout of the TTT, Toys, Technology and Training, and TTRS, Touch, Type, Read and Spell programs in Kildare, Monaghan and Wicklow. In Cork City, there was a partnership with Cork International Film Festival to allow everyone to stay at home while also enjoying cultural cinema from across Europe. So 45 films were made available to library members, and also during these unprecedented times, the service was extended to non-library members, and these were films by local and national filmmakers whose work was presented in Cork at the film festivals between 2017 and 2019, and also dozens of films from major European film festivals. There was a major 3D printing for PPE project. This was a collaboration with Engineers Ireland and Surfbox, where library authorities loaned out 3D printers or got library staff in-house involved in printing PPE for frontline workers. There were also diary archives and time capsules, where libraries including Laois, Meath and Waterford asked their communities to keep physical diaries as a record of the COVID-19 period, and the diaries will now form an archive or a time capsule in the libraries. Mayo Libraries created the Through the Ages project, where children aged between 6 and 16 became reporters for the day on Saturday, May 2nd. And the subject matter for these young reporters was their grandparents. So each child wrote a report in their own handwriting and submitted it to Mayo County Library, where all of the entries are being collated, digitised and preserved in the library's archives as a permanent record of this very unique Mayo Day. And there were prizes in a number of age categories for the best entries, and a selection of the reports were published in the local paper, while each child also received a certificate. Many library services promoted their online genealogy services as well and developed new content during this time. So Wexford Libraries produced video tutorials for accessing their online genealogy materials. Wicklow provided regular genealogy tips on their social media. Meath developed an online genealogy course in collaboration with their local education and training board, and Galway digitised the Galway Reader, which is a journal published by Galway County Libraries from 1948 to 1954, covering famous events and people and historic periods of hardship such as the famine and War of Independence, as well as local sport, flora, and wildlife. We saw a lot of podcasts emerging from the library services, with Carlow, Cork County, Dublin City, Kerry, and Wexford activating existing plans for creating podcasts, but targeting them to specific COVID-19 related topics and affected groups. And in Fingal for Heritage Week 2020, we saw the podcast A Gentle Amble Through Some of Ireland's Tree Heritage go online. There was also a focus on providing audio news for accessibility. So Carlow Libraries recorded a staff member reading the local paper aloud, and Cork City distributed a digital version of their Bealtaine newsletter to library groups. Now, Bealtaine is Ireland's national celebration of the arts and creativity as we age. So the festival newsletter was also sent out through hard copy and digital by the Cork City Council Community Response Team, and an audio version was also recorded and provided as a talking newsletter. And then the phone services, as I mentioned, include this call to chat service. And for example, Waterford Libraries provided a call to chat service with the Older People's Council. And this was a service available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. It was also staffed from other council sections, as well as services for the public moving online out of necessity. There was also a move online for sector meetings, and within the library sector, we saw over 480 public library staff attend an online library sector town hall meeting on Friday, the 8th of May. And Teams Live Skillshare sessions are now also underway. We had one Skillshare session in October on 3D printing and makerspace technologies, where over 145 public library staff attended, and there are upcoming sessions also in November and December. And this is an opportunity for library staff to present to their colleagues and share their experience and knowledge of these different digital technologies. Now, throughout lockdown, again, even when library buildings were closed between March and May, many local authorities provided physical delivery services to cocooners. And some libraries have been able to offer these physical delivery services to targeted individuals, and some have partnered with local voluntary groups and are including other self-care items like flower seeds, bookmarks, soap, and chocolate in the deliveries of books. Limerick City and County Library Service partnered with the Midwest Health Services and HSE Midwest Community Healthcare in delivering library materials to patients in acute units at hospitals in Limerick and to people staying in special care facilities during the COVID-19 crisis. And Louth partnered with the HSE Primary Care Services and the Defence Forces and have supplied clients of 4 mental health settings with 20 boxes of books. Longford Libraries are the county coordinator for the Age Friendly Alliance and the Older Persons Council. And so the library team are in contact with older clients who are vulnerable and living alone on an ongoing basis. So branch staff arranged book parcels rather, and left them to be collected in whatever location was appropriate or was convenient for these older clients. So the current situation in Ireland, well, a 5-stage government reopening roadmap was published on the 1st of May, and the country's public libraries began to reopen additional physical services gradually. This current month of October has seen all counties in Ireland return to level 3 restrictions, which are currently to remain in place until midnight on Tuesday, the 27th of October. And at level 3, library buildings are again closed to the public, but of course, library e-services are available. There are a lot of online activities happening, and call and collect borrowing is in place as well for the public. So that brings us to the end of our quick tour of libraries in Ireland since the beginning of the COVID pandemic. Thanks for listening.